Right.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 20. You might be seeing some unfamiliar faces because Mr. Rodney decided to leave me for another country and left me hanging. But fortunately, these two amazing guys here, Stu and Matt, um, jumped to the occasion and decided to come on and help us out and be a part of the Jira Life today. So, welcome, Stu. Welcome, Matt. Why don't
Thank
we
you.
start off with some brief introductions? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what do you do in the Atlassian ecosystem, and then we're going to jump into our topics for today. So, go ahead, Stu.
All right, I'm Stu Lees. I run marketing at an app partner in the marketplace called Revise. I'm a newbie. Like I've been in this world since March. Although previously I ran a software company probably 10 years ago where we were pretty heavy Atlassian users, so I kind of know the world pretty well. But one of the reasons for being here today is that I've just started my first membership as an ACE leader in Auckland in New Zealand, which is where I'm based. And I'm tuning in from my farm in Auckland as well, which is where my office studio is based. So if you hear any chickens in the background or dogs barking, that's my fault. Let's roll with it.
Yeah,
Over to you, Matt.
I did not know, like, that's a great introduction. You should probably lead with that. I did not know you were in a farm. Because I think the first time you and I met, you were in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot because I'm a little bit extroverted, so I like to be in front of humans from time to time. But I work pretty much full time from home on the farm, and incidentally, this room that I'm in, prior to lockdown and COVID, was full of tools. It was a bench, there was a vise, there was old farm machinery in here. And I had my children in the house doing homeschool stuff during lockdown. I was like, I need to get out of here. So I just got a big skip and threw everything out and literally paneled some walls and put some paint up. And now I have a studio office. And
Yeah, I always just thought it was like a basement or something.
Hi there, everybody.
These walls look like a basement wall. All right. And then we also have Matt. So Matt, why don't you give us a little brief introduction here?
Yeah, I think Stu and I are good different sides of the coin here because I've been around forever, about 20 years in the Atlassian community, doing all sorts of different things. I've got 3 kids as well, but they're all out of the house now, so I get the room to myself, which is kind of nice, except for the cats might come and interrupt us in a bit. Yeah, Jira, Atlassian, 20 years. I've put my kids through college on Atlassian. You know, this is when I first started with Atlassian, I would say to people like, oh, I'm married and I've got 1 kid, and all the Atlassians were like 25, you know, so they just look at me like I was from a different planet. But I'm still here, and a bunch of them are still here. I think one of the marks of success of a company is when people start putting X such and such in their LinkedIn places. You know, you see a lot of X Atlassian and X this, and it's a mark of success.
So I don't want to spoil anything
go
for later, but yesterday when you and I were talking, I was like, does that want to be cringes just a little bit in the fact that he's using LinkedIn right now?
Well, yes, that's right, because I had my exciting news this week was a career first. I was laid off, in fact, from LinkedIn as part of the 3% cut on Monday. So that's exciting. And now I'm thinking about what's next. Who's next?
All the juicy details, though.
Oh, I can't give you all of those. They're all in flight. But yeah, it's a big piece of news for me and my family. But you know, as I told my youngest son, hey, I'm still paying for your college. You better stay in college. So now, people might want to ask you, Alex and Stu, about what are these names you've got under these titles underneath your names?
So my Dr. Jira is just the internet. One of my teams that I work with, I'm always solving their Jira problems, like always, without a doubt. And it's always like a 20-minute thing, right? And so whenever there's a Jira emergency, I usually get called in, and like I'm like a ER specialist, right? Where I just come in, do the surgery, get in, get out, and I go to the next patient. And so I got the reputation of being called Dr. Jira because I'm always just coming in, fix Jira, and then go to the next alien.
I know those days. That's cool.
Yeah, and then Stu, why don't you walk us through Nurse Jira?
Well, I mean, I have developed this moniker of Nurse Jira for at least 14 minutes of my life since the start of this stream. And I think it really does fit, though, given that I have kind of like expired tech skills, because I left university, did architecture at university, ended up in a tech job, software development in like 94. Kind of really got into being a nerd for quite a while, and then got out of that, got more into business, into marketing, and other sorts of things. So I'm kind of like this non-practicing doctor who's just come back into the hospital, and they'll only let me in triage with the nurses, and so I can talk the talk, but they won't let me touch a scalpel.
Not yet. We're gonna get you there, though. You're in the right area. You're in the right arena.
I don't know if I want to go there. Don't know if I want to go there.
Well, maybe
I might end up like that.
Maybe I should put. Oh, careful. Maybe I should put a title on here. There's one of the colleagues that worked at LinkedIn. Her nickname for me was the Godfather. So maybe I'll just put Godfather at Jira. If Alex Jira physician. Oh yes. I don't think we should continue this. Otherwise, it's going to be like, who's the proctologist of Jira? We don't want to go there.
And
all right.
To answer a question that is hot in the live, it's 10 a.m. here in Auckland, so it's not early at all. I can't say that it's difficult for me to be here.
Yeah, I was feeling a little guilty when I asked Stu to come on, and I'm like, do we need to shift the time? Like, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too early. But I'm glad we made it work out. So thank you again, fellas, for joining me here. And usually it's the Rodney and Alex show. And just to answer this comment here, Matt, just to give you a little bit of background. So at the end of team, on that Thursday, between when everybody started taking all down the expo hall, but then as you have this long wait for the party, and Andy and I were just hanging out in the Venetian lobby. There's like that little work area. But apparently it used to be the Matt and Andy show back then.
It's been many shows. It's actually, what's really funny is a lot of the that new creator program that you were
which is topic number one. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it.
So dear to my heart, because for so many years I was so invested in creating content for people to use Jira and helping to create community. I wrote 2 of the first Jira books with O'Reilly back in 2011, and that kind of content to me is just a massive important for the whole community. That it's a self-generating thing that people want to do this, and whenever you put the structure around it, make it easier for people. It makes me very happy.
It's a very interesting thing, right? So I've been in the IT space for 13 years now. And I've done a lot of different tools, the Microsoft suite, AWS suite, right? And in no ecosystem of like that, is there like this following of like just diehard fans, right? Like Microsoft gets it a little bit, but they're very, very on the nerdy side. And I think on the Atlassian side, you get the whole spectrum of just true like IT folks, but then like everybody else, right? Like, so it's an interesting ecosystem, and I really, really like it. I think I picked the right one by pure serendipity.
I think it's a better than average one. Yeah,
it's tribal.
That's my take on it. It's quite a tribal community. It's quite close and open, and more of a family than I've seen in other tech communities I've been involved in.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing. I don't know if y'all saw my post, right? So I've been doing this Atlassian content for almost 2 years now. We're going to come up in 2 years in a couple months, and up until April that I went to the team conference, like I didn't really appreciate the scale and the impact of this community, right? It was like very much me talking to the camera, talking to the void of the internet. But when I got there, right, like Bob was probably the first one here that just ran up to me. He's like, I know you. And I'm like, I don't know you. And then now we have like a lifelong relationship here between Bob and I. I've only known Bob for 6 months, and I feel like I've known him for years. Same thing with like Stu, right? Like Stu's just came into my life, what, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
My life, 14 minutes ago. So the other thing that's been good about the community that I noticed way back was the self-moderation. So people just don't try and troll each other and wind each other up. And now Atlassian's taken over more of it and pays more people to actually be full-time community, help run the community.
So
they're good. They do push back and like, you can't say that, and that's not right. And
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the creator program, right? So this is something that's near and dear to my heart now. For those of you who are watching here on the Peanut Gallery, because I think mostly everybody in the Peanut Gallery is a creator, right? But for the folks that watch the replay, right? So Atlassian has had a creator program for many, many months now, from my understanding. And in fact, at Team 23 was the first time I heard about it. But there was already a cohort, right? It was a group of individuals that were already in the group. And it was only open to the ACE members, specifically the ACE leaders, from my understanding. In the Peanut Gallery, please correct me. I know Andy's like one of our founding fathers, right? So Andy, do please feel free to correct me. But yeah, it was a very exclusive event, exclusive group for some really, really exclusive people. Started so about 10 months ago now. And it was great. It was a bunch of awesome people that are already very heavily involved in the Atlassian community. But again, you had a very strict barrier to entry, which was you needed to be that community leader. Well, fast forward to this summer, Atlassian was really trying to kind of figure out how are they going to evolve the program. And they had like a little shift internally, right? So it used to be under a certain directorate. And then my understanding is that it moved to like a whole different department, a different team. And so that barrier to entry, that requirement to be that ACE leader kind of went away. And thus I entered, right? And so I'm going to come in now because I'm not, unlike almost everybody that I know in the Atlassian community, they're like event leaders. I'm like the one like ugly duckling who's not.
You're not that ugly. It's chickens anyway.
Thanks, Matt. Means a lot. But,
what a compliment. You're not that ugly.
It's an English compliment.
You're just mildly unpleasant.
You've just described the entire country. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so anyways, Atlassian has basically shifted this program to make it a little bit more welcoming. So just this past Monday, they brought in a new group of people that came in, and many of them I recognize, many of them are familiar faces. I'm still kind of digging into what the details of this creator program are, but I'm very, very excited because one of the biggest benefits is, one, Atlassian is going to help promote the content, right? So they obviously have a much bigger social media platform. They obviously have a global reach, right? And so many of us here in this content creator thing kind of do things like in voids, right? Where we're just kind of, everybody does their little thing, their little side of the like niches, but there's no synchronization between what we all do as creators of this great platform, right? So that's kind of one thing, the real down. I told you, now
I am listening. I
got to update mine now, Matt, to be like, again, the uncertified.
You do that. Let's keep this going through the chat.
Yeah. And so it's a great thing. Again, more creators we got here. And then this is a really great point, right? A lot of them are from other places other than the US. So now you're bringing in a lot of diversity, a lot of different thoughts. And it's a really cool thing. I'm really excited to be a part of it. Another benefit that we're getting here is we get access to some of the programs and projects, right? So some of the different features and functionalities that Atlassian is going to be rolling them out. My understanding is that you'll get a little bit of an insight, some hands-on training, some one-on-one type of things, so that when these things launch, it's not like this is the first time you're seeing it, right? It's going to be a little bit more educational. And of course, I can't forget this. Apparently, there's swag on the way, so I'm waiting for that.
Oh, of course, there's swag. Is it a t-shirt company or a software company? There's always been some debate.
Yeah. And so in the chat,
that's very important, actually. I know when I was doing all those years of different consulting places, there'd be some new feature would appear on a Friday, and customers would ask you on Monday, so tell me all about this new feature. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So yeah, I'm really glad to see the whole ramp up is being better driven.
Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, it'll be partners, influencers, community leaders, and we just want to take a second here to welcome. Where do you go? Oh, Rafael. So welcome. Not sure it looks based on your shirt. Maybe you're a creator yourself too, but welcome to the Jira Life. Yes, so definitely part of the creators program here. So yeah, Stu, though you have some questions, ask away. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Are you have you heard of the creator program before this?
I heard of it yesterday when everyone started popping up their badges on LinkedIn.
14 minutes ago, too.
LinkedIn lit up on fire, and I was like, "This creator program, what is it?" And, I felt a bit of FOMO.
Yeah.
Being a marketing guy, I have to have the latest T-shirt and the latest badge. And, my very serious question was, are we going to be seeing photos of Alex on private jets and super yachts now that you're a full-time influencer with a creator badge and getting, monetizing your likes? And
I know, yeah.
my question was like, what does it mean for you? And you've kind of answered a bunch of those things in terms of the kind of the things you create will get more scope and more visibility, and I guess a bit of authority underpinned on it too. But is there anything else that is going to help you keep doing the thing that you're doing? Because I think what you're doing with your variety, you and Rodney and all of your other creative people, just kind of from my perspective, from the marketplace app people in the world, I think it's really important stuff, right? Brands can speak their thing, and it's very, very typically quite monotone. And so when creator communities grow strong, I think it becomes a really powerful ecosystem commercially that feeds things. So you're getting my upvote for all of the work that you guys do. But I'm curious how this is going to help change what you do.
Yeah. So a couple of things that come to mind. One, Atlassian themselves, and I thought this was the most interesting bit that when they were interviewing me, asked me about, and two, they kind of gave us some documentation on is, how do you turn being a content creator into a business? So there's a lot of focus and then helping us actually be able to do this for like a living, right? When I look across all the different content creators, there's a lot of folks putting content out just because, Matt, 20 years of passion for this, right? And, just naturally you're skilled and you share that information. But there hasn't been like a whole lot of at least a synchronized effort on like, okay, so now that we do this stuff and there's an audience, how do we then get rewarded for it from a monetary perspective? Right? So there's some focus in Atlassian helping us figure out how do we build the business out of this, right? And how is it not? It's not us pushing out like guides and tutorials and blog posts, right? It's more like, how do you actually build something?
That's a key question, actually, Alex. Do you know anybody in the community who's making a full-time living out of Atlassian?
The only person that I know is Lamech from now he's in Spain, but he's a Portuguese guy. He does Moxie, so 100% Portuguese channel. He's got 30,000 subscribers. But him and I have had a few conversations this whole past summer, and he's like the one individual where he's like up at the caliber where we're both kind of like, how do we make money? Like, how do we?
I mean, to do it full time, you got to eat, you got to pay rent.
Yeah. So he's the only one that I've seen at that caliber, because everybody else, like I said, it's been a very asynchronous or asymmetrical, just creating stuff as appropriate, right? And the requirement is actually, in my opinion, kind of low, because for the creator program, in order to stay maintained, right, obviously positive content in the Atlassian ecosystem, but 2 posts a month. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, well, I do 5 a week just on YouTube, right?
Well, they got to keep the barriers low to get more people in. But I mean, I thought long 10 years ago about, can I do this and make a living? And thought, no, it's got to be something where I find a full-time position that includes part of this publicizing and part of the Atlassian community work.
But Rodney witnessed the opposite, right? So the reason Rodney and I were hitting this so hard is like Rodney had to leave his corporate job, because this influencer lifestyle conflicted, right, as a conflict of interest. So it makes it hard. So that's why, like, whatever we do here as content creators, like, we really got to figure out how do we like Mr. Beastify it so that it can be a sustainable business.
Mr. Beastify. That's such a generational reference. That really is. Just so you know. But I get what you mean. Yeah. Make the money. That's good.
We just got to figure out. And one thing, though, that I do want to add here, Stu, so I don't know if I told you, Stu, but Matt, you probably never heard this, right? But one of my goals and objectives with the creator program is a little bit revolving around the concept of, again, synchronization of content, right? When Atlassian drops a brand new feature like whiteboards or the databases that are coming for Confluence, I think it would be great if all of us, all these 53 or so creators that are in this program, on the same day, we all drop a blog post, all the YouTube videos, like every blog post goes out, all the guides go out, Atlassian's communication goes out. Everybody goes on YouTube. Every time that they just put Confluence databases, here's the top new 10 videos on this new topic, right? But again, we sign like an embargo. We don't talk about it. We don't release it. But we all synchronously drop the content, because then it blows up the entire ecosystem, right? All from all facets of all where people are talking. I think that's one of the things that I'd like to achieve with the program. Because now we have a Slack channel to talk to each other.
Yeah, Slack. That's the hardest thing with being laid off, is you lose access to the company Slack, and then you're like, now what do I do all day when I'm bored? So actually somebody started up a LinkedIn Discord, and almost all of the channel names are the same as the original Slack names, which makes me laugh. Even the ones that got removed that people loved, they just recreate them in Discord. Off you go.
Yeah.
I don't understand this comment from Bob.
He's basically saying, so like, it's an interesting thing about the Atlassian ecosystem, right?
Oh yeah.
250,000 customers that Atlassian has. I feel like there's millions of people. I feel like if you just go look at community.atlassian.com, like how many registered people are on there, I think it's well over 1 million people, right? I think more and more people are looking at it, right? Because when you extrapolate like the entire user base of Atlassian, right, it's a lot of people, right? And even if it's not just Atlassian, because I obviously make a lot of videos, right? So I have a lot of insight into who's watching, where are these people coming from, right? And so a lot of them are just newbies to the space. They just got the job, and they're like, "Here's Jira, go figure it out." And then there is no go figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's been the long-term question around all of these tools, isn't it? It's people can see that you can do a lot of things with it, and that's very exciting. But then there's the daunting cliff of oh my goodness, you can do a lot of things with it. How do I do all these things? And particularly that really funny article about Jira Admin and humor that came out from whatever it is, Insights today, about how do I not break everybody else with these changes I'm going to make? And we've all been there, right? With the Atlassian tools, you're like, oh, seemed like a good idea. I did it Friday afternoon, and then Monday morning comes up, and your mailbox is full of people who are angry at you, and what's gone on? And all you've done is rename some field or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Rename the field or the status. Renaming the status.
Oh, that's brutal. Yes.
Yeah. Or making the field required in your field configuration.
Yeah. On the third tab down below the fold on the screen. Yeah, we've done those.
Somebody today asked me. They pinged me directly, and they're like, "Hey, Alex, I need a Jira quick start guide." Right.
Oh.
And I'm like, they're like, just give me the video. And I'm like, I have a 60-minute quick start guide, but I don't have a 15-minute one. And so that just spawned a whiteboard full of ideas of quick start everything. Because if people just want I got 15, 20 minutes, what can I do? Like, keep me safe, but give me enough information so I can be dangerous with Jira. But
as an admin in 15 minutes?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I got multiple quick start guide ideas now, right? But somebody that's brand new to Jira, like, what do I need to get off the ground, right? Like, how do I be productive but not need a 2-week learning curve here?
Yeah,
I mean,
videos.
There's an element here of which I think is relevant to, you've got this, let's say it's 1 million people, and this turnover of people coming in and out of this phase of an eagerness to learn and maybe learn from the community and find out things that are relevant to their jobs. And I think something that's really relevant to that point, Alex, is the consumption model of how we learn and how we what we desire very, very short pieces of powerful content now, rather than 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour training courses. And there's a woman who's become hyper successful as a content creator doing Excel tips with her own Excel training course. And I'm talking multi-million-dollar well. And of course, it's a very, very big community of people who globally use Excel and Sheets. But she goes on to TikTok twice a week and does here's how to do this quickly in Excel. And if you were to watch all of her TikToks, you'd essentially absorb the course. Right? But no one ever watches all of the TikToks. They watch kind of 5 or 6 of her TikToks, enough to gain trust that she is this dominant, really useful person, and then people go and pay $100 for a course. And I thought that's a really fascinating way to kind of create a business out of her her TikToks are very kind of entertainment / education. So she's really nailed that channel of how to capture people's attention and actually make them engage them in learning a thing that's useful for them. Right. So a lot of
I have great admiration
how to do
for
this
people
with a column
who can.
and these sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about YouTube stuff, and then I thought about, well, I don't dance well enough for TikTok, so that was out. But then the LinkedIn Learning videos, I'm also very impressed by those, and they are free in a lot of places through your library. A lot of libraries have subscriptions. You just take your library card, go down there, and get whatever you want. And they're a good example. Rachel Wright, who travels around in her van. Oh, you should. Right from her traveling van, wherever they're living at the moment. And she's done some great stuff. And it's really high quality production. Yeah.
But going back to Stu's point, right? So that TikTok, though, that's, I think, the ultimate game changer. And I think it maybe not TikTok itself, but that short form content, right? This is where everybody's at right now. And one of the TikToks that I saw just today, PowerPoint skills, but his hook is, I'm gonna teach you how to do this in 32 seconds. That is just like that perfect hook of like, let me show you how to make a field required in 32 seconds. Let me show you how to add a new issue type in 32 seconds. Right?
It all started with Uber, right? So this instant gratification society through tech disruption started with, we're going to take a thing and give you instant gratification to something that you previously had to think about, worry about, kind of stress about, phone to 5 different companies, hope that they showed up, hope that you got to your destination in time. Uber kind of transformed that. And then since then, time and time again, people have products have come online to make us have a higher expectation at a shorter time. So I think you're dead right that whether or not it's TikTok is the channel that we're talking about, the short form kind of high dose of outcome is really, really appealing in people's consumption.
You need the whole gamut though, because the TikToks will do really, really well, but they don't build what this show builds, right? After people walk away from watching this video, they have a greater sense of who Stu is, who Matt is, who I am, right?
Yeah,
and then everybody in the peanuts. But you don't get that from flicking through 30-second videos. So you need to have the entire pipeline of content, because then people want a 12-hour course.
For sure. I think there's a middle ground somewhere though. I think you're on it. Like I think the quick start guides, if I was to sponsor that as an idea, I think that's a really attractive thing. I don't need, because then for me as the person who's attending, I'm not investing much of my time to dive into it, and I'm not having to wait
enough value out.
Scroll forward and fast forward for the thing I want. Right. So here's a quick start guide to, I don't know, configuring tickets or whatever it happens to be within the tool, and it's 3 minutes. And so a lot of people are going to be like, right, I'm in because I've got 3 spare minutes.
Yeah, no, definitely some good ideas, right? And so one of the things that I'm kind of stuck in right now, and maybe Matt, I don't know if you've ever considered this too, right? Like you have your books. Why haven't you tried to like reverse engineer that content you've made to make more? Because you don't got to reinvent the wheel. I got 500 videos. I'm going to figure out, what do I do with these 500 videos?
No. I mean, I have. I thought about taking parts of each book and turning them into separate videos. This is like a while ago there, and it was a combination of things that I didn't feel confident that I could have done the videos, so I'd have had to work with someone else really to present. But then also the effort to maintain the content is tricky. And at the time, I did own the copyright to the books. But then the approach I was thinking of going really was more like just make the whole thing open, because all books are ripped off these days anyway. So there's a PDF out there of everything you want.
Yeah.
And people can just find it through that. It's more a matter of publicity than discoverability. It's all on Google.
So not to give my secret sauce away, right? But my master plan is to go from the 30-second TikTok all the way through the $100,000 solution. Just have every step in between, right? Like that's like the master plan that I'm trying to kind of figure out. Like, okay, so obviously I can get 1 million views on a 30-second TikTok. and I just need to convert upstream and get the ones that need that money. And because there's going to be that one chief technology officer, that one person that's like, holy moly, I trust this guy. Here's a 1-year contract, $100,000, $200,000, whatever it is. Do it for us because I trust you.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved better if you had have told us that while stroking a white cat. And then finishing off with a muhahaha. But
I expect you to die.
But again, as a marketing person, that's what I get paid to do. That model is not a new experimental model. That is the way to get more eyeballs on the attention and trust in order for those people to give you more of their time. Mm-hmm. You've got to get in with the short stuff, and then they will come to the longer stuff.
Yeah,
and that's why YouTube have invested so much in pushing
and
shorts
long
out.
form still wins though, right? Like long form on YouTube is like it's still the thing.
Entirely, long game, better SEO, or all those sorts of things. But I think the short form, the addition of the short form, as costly as it is kind of like a hyper accelerator to you getting more people to the thing.
Yeah. So the plan that my wife and I got, right? We got the 30-second clip followed in by the 5-minute tutorial, going into my sweet 8 to 12-minute YouTube video, going into a 60-minute course, going into a 2 to 3 hour in-depth course, going into a 6 to 12 hour like instructor-led type of course, going into like a master class. It's like, yeah, there's like a whole thing that my wife and I were trying to figure out how do we build it out, right? But again, the key is that, for me at least, is that vertical short-term content. The tricky part is freaking Jira this way and verticals are this way. It doesn't translate. That's the nut I'm trying to crack right now. Once I figure it out, it's going to be game-changing.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's comparisons running through my head about how did I get first customers for consulting business when I started that back in 2006, and then how did I get hooks for larger customers coming in with bigger organizations, Service Rocket, where I was at from 2011. And I can hear those chickens now. And sorry, you could hear my keyboard earlier. Apologies to everybody. I won't type. I think it's always a personal hook. There's always somebody says, "Oh, that person could provide something for me," and if it's free, I like the look of it, and that seems to be able to string words together and communicate. And then there's the am I really going to get value if I invest in that kind of money for all my direct reports and across the company? How am I going to justify this to the financial crowd? What's the budget? And I think that's where the personal conviction would come in. I always had a champion at these companies that would say, yes, you want to get this guy, this organization, this company, bring them in. It's never entirely just a rational going through a list and looking at the rates. There's always more than that. So of course, I would do first lunch is free. I'm not going to charge you for the first morning. Then up comes the charges by the hour for the consulting after that.
So why don't we transition then? So let's leave the creator life behind, and let's maybe talk a little bit about then. Walk us through that 20-year gap or experience of you, right? And let's maybe go into career tips or where do we go from here, Matt?
Well, first thing is because I do some talking to high schoolers too, so after their career advisors have been talking to them and telling them about you should be very serious now. This is the big world when you're 18. I'm like, nah, you don't need a career till you're about 40, really, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right, I started off as a hardware guy. Stayed in college, graduate stuff, and came to America, and I still didn't know what I was going to do. I just wanted to get paid, have a family, and then I found something that I actually enjoyed doing, which was the tools. I really like helping people with their tools, so I call myself the toolsmith.
Was Jira your first love, or did you?
No, I did all tools. I followed the money. So I opened up a consulting, just saying, okay, I'm fed up with having a manager and executives, and I'm going to be the one-man shop, which is wonderful. I think career advice is, if you ever get a chance to run your own business, do it. It just makes you so appreciative of everybody doing all the other tasks that you don't want to do. It's great. So yeah, I did.
From being that consultant to LinkedIn, like how did that come around?
Yeah. So
because you
that time and day, LinkedIn was a smaller
your life
place.
actions took the opposite of your advice, right?
Yeah, in many ways. I found something I wanted to do. I found something I could do or learn to do, and then discovered I could get paid for it, enough to live in Silicon Valley and all that. And that makes me pretty happy. And that's what I tell the high schoolers is, check you're getting enough compensation. Never do an internship for free. That's just called exploitation. And then, make sure you can do it. Like, I might want to be a concert pianist. That's all very well, but fingers are too short. So, I'm never going to make that. And then get something you want to get out of bed in the morning. And Jira became that. It also was, to be fair, it was Atlassian kept pushing lots of customers towards me as a local consultant. So I was like, well, fine, I'll follow the money. And just started doing more and more.
Let's talk about that. So wait, there was a point where Atlassian was sending you folks?
Yeah, back in the mid-2000s.
Partner days?
Pre-partner days. There was no such thing as an ACE or a user group or even the community was really just a bulletin board sitting out there. So it was very casual. And they would say, because customers would talk to Atlassian, and Atlassian would, roll out the line about, oh, we don't have sales staff, we don't do demos. And these big companies would be like, what do you mean you don't do demos? What do you mean you don't have sales staff? And they would say, oh yeah, you have to talk to one of the people who help, and here's a couple of bigger firms, and here's a local firm, and he's a bit cheaper. That helps. And then, so I actually started with LinkedIn as a consultant before I went to Service Rocket, and then took them as a customer. So it's a long, strange trip.
How many years did you do at LinkedIn?
6 years consulting, 6 years full time.
Okay.
So 6 years is above average. Not many people know, but if you go to LinkedIn and you look up a company, it shows you the statistics about how long people stay at that company, which is kind of cool. Because there's some big differences between these small startups or the companies that have never quite grown, but they've been around and people stay forever. It's quite insightful.
So from a Jira admin perspective, what would you say to someone who's like new to this, right? They want to start with Atlassian, because a lot of people start as a Jira user because they're like a Scrum Master, they're a project manager, or product manager, whatever ad manager you want to be, and then they're the only one that's doing it, right? And then so they usually tend to inherit. Well, here, you want a workflow customization, you go do it. There's no
yeah. That is absolutely the way that most people end up being Jira admins. It just sort of got dropped on them one day.
So from a 20-year bet, like what advice do you have for them?
So the first thing is to go to the vendor. Look at the Atlassian University. Start there. Do some of those. They don't all cost anything, so that's well worth it.
And they got like a $40 rate right now for a lot of them.
I mean, it's bargain for what you get there. And then connect with the local community, whether it's virtual or in person or just some sort of human-to-human feeling. Start looking at things like the YouTube videos that are out there, the LinkedIn Learning. But the best way you're going to start it doesn't matter where you're coming from for this, is go and get yourself a free instance, the 10-user license, and just break it. Just play with it. Because I'm a thorough believer in the Homo ludens theory. Some people may have heard me rabbiting on about this before, but until I've actually played with something, I don't really understand it. It's like, how do the little kids learn how to use the iPhone and play the games on there, right? They just play with it. And we're just grown-up kids. So if we just play with Jira, then you're like, oh, that's what it does. Oh yeah, and then take your own notes, and that's really the way to go from being a user to being an admin, is to play where you're not going to break it.
Yeah, and Stu, since I want to make things a little bit relevant to you, so I want to hear your thoughts, right? So obviously you come from I would say a different part of the brain, right? You're more on the creative side than like on the technical chop side.
Yeah,
And so
I'm technical introvert. It's basically what I do. But there's enough of me, one side of me, that will come out and do the talking. But after this, I'm going to go back and have a good long nap.
No, but I'm curious to hear from Stu, because like I've always been on the IT side, very technical, right? And it's not until right now that I'm finding the need to figure out marketing, to figure out the need on how to talk, right? The need on how to create a brand for myself, because I'm of the opinion, like when Rodney announced that he was quitting Activision, right? Like people hit him like a hawk. Like he wasn't on the market for 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And Rodney and I, we joked around. We were at Teams 23. We were standing like next to the O Street Solutions booth, and we're like, Rodney, what would happen if you and I became available? Like if we were like free agents, right? But I think a lot of people have these deep technical skills, right? People have been doing Jira for many, many years, like many of the people in this room. But it goes back to this creator program too, right? Everybody that I'm recognizing in the creator program, there's not a lot of trainings on marketing and branding and extroverting yourself, right? Like those
good verb. Yeah.
Extroverting, making up words.
I think I've coached people in marketing before. It's what I was doing for a number of years, and I find the biggest gap is people's perception of what marketing is versus what it actually is.
Well, you got a book right there that gives you the title.
Yeah, and so a lot of people will think, oh, I need to do some marketing because perhaps I need to have more consistency or more security in what I'm doing to get more clients, to get more stuff. And as Matt has indicated, that you can actually just be connected to a community and show up to events and talk to people and show up online. And in a sense, that's the best kind of marketing when you're talking about this, getting people to trust you. And so a lot of people don't think they're not going to do marketing, and they're actually doing marketing because they're giving away their knowledge, they're giving away their skills, and they're giving away their kind of their abilities. So I learned market. I was a nerd. I had 12 nerds that worked for me. We plateaued. There's only so many networking events you can go to bring in new business for your thriving business. So when we got to like, I don't know, kind of 2 million turnover, our business really stopped because I wasn't doing any actual marketing. I just didn't have the scale. So I just kind of deep dived and read a ton of books and went to the library and took every Friday off and just kind of learned a new trade. And I found that it was a really fun trade. I found it was like really interesting, kind of, because it wasn't what I thought it was. So I wasn't having to I wasn't having to learn salesmanship and things. I was just learning how to simplify a thing that you say to a marketplace and put it in a way that people are going to actually want to hear the next thing, right? And you guys in this community, you're experts at this because if you're a creator, you're kind of only as good as your last video, right? Until you amass this thing called your own community and this body of work, and then all of a sudden you get this shift change, which almost arrives imperceptibly. And I think that's pure marketing. So when people are selling services, if we go back to the kind of maybe I'm an Atlassian admin and I'm thinking, geez, I'd like to be a consultant. If you want people to learn about you and learn about your capabilities, my best advice is start giving them away for free in short format on videos or on LinkedIn, or do a LinkedIn carousel every week if you don't want to be on video, and just go, here's how to do XXX. You're welcome, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and then the next thing is and start, and the thing that I don't think has been said, but which is a ninja move in marketing, is go onto communities and be the best answerer of questions, right? But just like like a lot of communities around the world, Facebook and whatever, these groups form, and people, you see the people who are like, I can help with that problem, DM me. right? And there's a string of them. I can help you with that problem, DM, or they'll give you half of the answer. So that's an easy thing to solve. You just need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm available to help you with that, and they're looking for leads, right?
Yeah.
The best way to actually stand out in those communities is to be the person who literally puts in a whole page answer, the complete answer, step by step, blow by blow. And what I've found is 60% of the people who see that answer will go, great, I'm going to use it. And the 40% of people go, look, love the answer, but I need the person's help to implement it because I'm still afraid.
Yeah.
And that creates a massive amount of business.
And you taking jabs at me. I that was one of my biggest fears at the beginning too, because I was like, first of all, I had to conquer that imposter syndrome, because I think that's probably the first hurdle. Is you think you know Jira, but you're probably not comfortable enough to put it out there, right?
Mhm.
And so that's the first hurdle I had to overcome, which was like, okay, so I maybe I don't know this stuff, but maybe I do, but it's got nothing but up my skills, right? And then the second problem is like, well, what happens when I give it all away? And one of the very first things that I wanted to make sure in my YouTube videos was that I didn't want to skip over that one part of the tutorial that you absolutely needed. That every other tutorial, skip the hard thing, right? They went like, here's how you do it, yada yada yada, and it's done. And that yada 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 was always the most critical part that
Yeah.
you needed.
That's like when you're building, you know, those pictures about how to make an origami goose or something. Step 1, you fold the paper here. Step 2, you fold the paper. Step 3, just do all this, and you're like, what the heck? How did I do that?
So that was like, but that was my main directive when I started this channel, which is like, my tutorials are in depth. You can follow from A through Z, and you're gonna accomplish whatever's in that title, right? And I didn't leave anything out. But I was kind of scared because I was like, well, then everybody will do it. But listening to Alex Hormozy, who's one of my like icons that I would love to follow along with all day. He's like, people like what you said, Stu, right? Like, people that have all the time but no money are going to watch your videos, and they're going to succeed. Great. But there's going to be those few individuals that have zero time but all the money. Those are the ones you want. They'll come to you once you have that trust.
You know, you can give it all. You're not going to run out. I mean, the more you give to people and the more you teach, the more you discover, and the more there is to talk about. And the challenge is actually cutting down the content and really prioritizing what you want, what you feel you care about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got 500 videos that I published, and I got another 500 in the backlog.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't, and then that's not even assuming that all the new changes and stuff that Atlassian launches, right? It's like, it's an infinite number of content here.
Yeah.
Just give it away, folks. It's not that hard.
So I see with the time is flying here.
Yeah, we got one more topic. Why don't we go ahead?
Have we? What's that topic, Alex? Tell us.
ACE. Let's talk about ACE.
The ACE, yes. So let me paste in that's the link I want there.
So we're going to be transitioning over. So hopefully you all been enjoying this deep conversation with all the doctors here.
It's not letting me paste. It's not letting me paste for some reason.
Why don't you just give it to me on LinkedIn? I'll paste it in there.
It's in the private. It's in the private chat if you want to copy that last link. Okay. It's the San Francisco Bay Area ACE. There's 2 events coming up. November 1st, there's a Catherine Mintz is doing a talk at the Atlassian Mountain View about dealing with many Jira admins, how not to lose your anger, temper, and all that. And it sounds really interesting. I'm going to go up there. So I'll be in Mountain View on November the 1st. And then November the 2nd, there's 4 of us going to haul ourselves up to San Francisco to the Atlassian building there, which if you haven't been and you're in the area, it's great. Good food, good drinks. Should be entertaining. We've got to get the priorities. And my colleague Danny De Gregorio and myself are going to talk about Jira at LinkedIn. At least the bits I'm allowed to talk about now, right? As a non-current LinkedIn employee. In fact, I'm not sure what they're called. Linkers, ex-linkers, linked out.
You were there.
Linked over.
I've got to. There's all sorts of things you got to learn when you're no longer at a company. Yes, thank you.
So Matt, how many of ACE events have you hosted in your lifetime?
Well, I started running them back in 2008 in San Francisco. at a very different Atlassian office.
And Stu, you're about to do your first one, no?
Well, I put in my application to be an ACE leader 2 days ago. For Auckland, not Oakland, Auckland, New Zealand. And I found that the local
we're trying to let the US people understand that it's not Oakland where you go get shot, but rather Auckland.
Right.
Where you raise chickens.
The ACE group here has kind of struggled to create the energy necessary to get people to create that regular community. And so I chatted to Mike, who's one of the leaders there, and said, like, how can I help? And then we literally had a meeting before the session, and came out of it really exciting, because being in marketing, I've done lots of event stuff in the past, but you've got I find these things, there's a little bit more pressure to just do it well, if that makes sense, and to do it sincerely. And it's not we're not trying to sell anything, we're just trying to get a bunch of humans in the room. And so what we've settled in the idea is there's a guy who's been running a technology startup in Auckland for about 10-15 years in AI. So he's one of the pioneers in AI in New Zealand, and has got a really successful business before all of this generative stuff came along. And so we're going to get him to come and speak. We're bringing in the tech startup community to kind of bring in some fresh new faces to the event, and we're hoping to do a Taco Tuesday, because who doesn't like tacos, right?
Cool. And this AI thing, is that the artificial insemination we're talking about?
Yes, because we have a lot of cows and sheep here in New Zealand. Yeah.
Good.
I feel like I'm in such a unique position here to have both of you here, right? So Matt, you've done a lot of these ACE events too. You're brainstorming new ideas for them. So why don't you walk us through some of your ideas? I'd like to see Matt's reaction to maybe some of your thoughts.
I mean, actually, the having somebody coming in from any tech company, because he's going to talk about how he uses Atlassian products, no doubt, as well. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What else?
But how do we get butts and seats? What are your thoughts there, Stu? Because I haven't been to an ACE event since pre-COVID.
I mean, in events in general in the tech industry, I find that you've actually got to ask people, right? So rather than just like, here's an invite, hope you come, you've actually got to DM people, email people, and actually just create the room almost artificially by just saying, hey, I really want you to be there this time. Can you come? And just use a little bit of social depth there. And when you get people there, the next, everyone sees a photo with a room full of people drinking beer and smiling. And then, in my experience, that has expanded. That becomes a more attractive and safer thing for perhaps the more introverted people who are worried that I don't want to be there and be pounced upon by salespeople, or I don't want to be the only person. I don't want to be, no one wants to go to an event and there be 3 people. Right?
No, I think the point you're making.
We're just going to grind out the number. We're just going to fill the room up with a bunch of people, and we're all going to have a great chat, and then we're going to keep sharing that, and then and we've got big aspirations to make it a big, vibrant group of people, because I hear what you're saying, Alex. In-person events kind of died a death when we all stopped connecting with each other, and we started using tools like StreamYard and Zoom and Teams to fill that void. I'm a big believer that humans need to be in contact with humans on a relatively regular basis to be healthy and to be vibrant and be at the best of our jobs, and to take advantage of the best kind of networking things for your jobs. And so I'm hoping that our ACE group will become something that people will find their next boss at, or their next team member at, or their next consultant at, or their next dev or something like that. And it won't just be, it'll be more about the tech industry with people who happen to use Jira or Confluence, as opposed to it's only talking about Jira and Confluence and Atlassian products. So I feel like there's scope to talk about, what does a developer's life look like next year when their boss hasn't replaced all of your colleagues because the boss thinks that AI is going to solve the problems, right? So there's a
Bob here. I don't know if you know Bob, but I think I made the introduction right for something that we're gonna do. Yeah, so yeah, in person. I was almost gonna drive. Bob, I think there's a higher probability that I'll go to the Bay Area to an ACE event there than I'll go to the desert. But maybe in the winter. Vish from San Francisco, who's Stu, he's your boss, right? Like,
yeah. He's
and he's organizing the one
he's
that I'm talking about.
invited me, so I'm gonna have to go to a Bay Area.
Oh, good.
Event.
Yeah.
I do know that what's her name? The CEO. He's here. He's in Austin, at least. He's in the U.S. Help me, people. The CEO of Scott.
Oh,
Mr. Scott Farquhar. is
oh, good.
They did an Austin event. Anu and Scott posted something on LinkedIn today or yesterday about them being in the Austin area.
Uh-huh.
And not present today, and we only have a couple minutes here, but not present today is our very own Ed Gale. He actually, I don't know if Stu, if you've seen his marketing thing that he's been doing, but between Ed and Bob here, what they do is they do the ACE events with barbecue. So Ed's the pitmaster, and so he will go around the country apparently making barbecue.
It's great. I mean, I've got some strong opinions after all these events of what really brings people in, because there's a lot of turnover as well. You don't get the same people we haven't, but it's the location. So you put it in an interesting company and everybody wants to see inside that company and say, oh, look, I was in this hot new company. That's great. Quality of the food, barbecue even better, right? But don't skimp on the food. Just little chips is not going to cut it. Some decent beer, decent drinks for people, relax everyone who's feeling awkward, and a safe space, because you're right, a lot of these people who turn up aren't going to be wanting to hang around, and it's after work and they want to get back to their family and all those kind of things.
I've only been to one event, and it was at a brewery, and I felt very it didn't feel like that's something I ever want to go do again. It was just like everybody was kind of like in the little cliques. It felt like high school all over, right? It's so like I don't know anybody, so I feel like the odd wheel out, and then I just want to like hear a presentation and get out. But there wasn't even a presentation because there was so
no. And so I expect to hear a few presentations, reasonably short, with a chance to interact, questions, and then I don't want to be sold at more than one of those. So if there's one vendor that's saying my plugin will solve all your life problems, okay. But don't give me two of those, just one. And everything else, it's about just making the human connections, which is, of course, we've been talking about during the pandemic, and I stopped organizing them. I stopped organizing the ACE events during pandemics because I'm like, sitting at home drinking a beer is not the same as going into somebody's cool office and seeing all that.
There you go. Those are the Matt Doar's secrets to running a successful ACE event.
Yeah, location. Actually, so I'm just going to say one thing for Stu. You're worried about the first one, you want it to be a success. On 2 occasions, at least, I have dropped an entire box full of beer on the floor just before the ACE started. Every bottle in this box, 24 bottles, bam, beer all over the floor. And everyone's like, oh, where does this company keep its mops? And, nobody could get to the podium. And so, things are going to happen, but you recover. And laugh later on.
I kind of want to go to one. I think I might reach out. The problem with my San Diego is like a freaking big county, and most of them are held like an hour down the road from me. I'm like, I'm not about to drive a whole hour. So
hasn't Scott got a Gulf Stream for creators to fly around the country now? Isn't that the thing? Right?
Little toy model, that's what you get.
And a super yacht.
Well, maybe I'll go to the Phoenix one next time, and I definitely want to go up to the Bay Area and do some of those. But anyways, we are down to the last couple of minutes, folks. So any last comments, any parting messages, thoughts, opinions?
Those cool stickers that Rodney had on his water bottle. Where can we get some of those?
So Ronnie got his own. Yeah, no, we
the Jira Life. Wasn't they Jira Life stickers?
We worked on the JirAmigos. So the folks in the chat here do have an icon or a logo that we made for them. It's
but I can't stick an icon on my water bottle.
Bob, not to spoil anything for you, Bob, but have you ever been to Old Town San Diego?
Yeah, I did actually once.
You basically take Mexico and you stick it in like a little square footage area of San Diego. It's really cool. But they had a ton of sombreros. So the group here in the chat, they're called the JirAmigos, but if we had like a whole little like JirAmigos type of thing, or the Caballero. So we got the.
Sure.
So anyways, we're doing a thing. It's coming.
Love it.
It's happening. So
Good.
anyways, we'll work on that. But Stu, any parting comments from your end?
Thank you, Matt, for your wisdom around the events. That helps, and thanks for having me on board. It's great. I have felt this community quite unique and quite weird, in that everyone's friendly. And I feel like I'm gonna like go through this transformation and turn into some sort of Jira Atlassian sort of person. I don't know what I might have to get tattoos or something. So,
I know, right?
so thank you for starting my journey.
No, we appreciate you both. Thank you so much. Ronnie had he had a thing where he had to go fly overseas. He should be in an airplane right now. And so we haven't missed a beat. 20 episodes in, we haven't missed one. So we didn't want to start now. We thought about it. We were flirting with stopping. We're like, maybe we skip a week. But thank you both for jumping in.
Thank you very much.
Jump in. So we're going to be rotating, but we are here every single Thursday. And so we don't miss a beat here. So if any of you here in the peanut gallery or Stu or Matt, the invitation is always open. Drop by if you just want to come in 20 minutes, do your thing, get in, get out. We also invite that too, right? It just makes the episode a little bit more fun and better than me and just Ronnie always talking. So appreciate you both taking the time here. For everybody else, thank you very much for catching the live stream. I don't have the outro that Ronnie usually does, but don't forget to subscribe. And Stu and Matt, if you have any links or anything that you want me to post, feel free to send it to me. I'll put it in the description. But for everybody else watching, check out any links down below in the description for, I know, Stu, you got your amazing configuration manager and data manager apps in the marketplace. Matt, you probably got your books. I don't know if you want still.
No, speak something about the ACE. If you take that ACE link.
Yeah, we'll take the ACE in there, right? So if you're local to the Bay Area, then definitely go check them out. We got to have a couple of ACE events over there. Great. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Bye all.